Hi, welcome. I'm Paul Bedford from Retention Guru, and in this second session in collaboration with Clubwise, I am going to talk about three areas of your business, how you can help keep your customers, how you can retain them. So if you think about your business in three sections, you've got the joining phase, you've got the leaving phase, but in the middle you've got this maintenance section where I focus most of my work and most of my business is here. It's how do you keep these customers, how do you keep your members in your clubs, in your studios, in your boutiques for longer. And what I'm going to share with you today is a range of things that you might want to try. Now, it's fairly understandable. If you've been in business for a while, you understand that there are three ways in which you can increase the amount of money that you earn in your business. Now, the first way is to sell the same amount but increase the price. Fairly obvious. Second way, sell more to the same people, and I'll explain where I think this comes in for us, and sell more to different people. So there's always been this focus on new. Let's get new customers in. Let's do. But I think the huge value in your business is in the existing customers. It's in the ones that are in and are staying, because I think they are able to give you that perpetual revenue month after month after month. And if you look after them, you can have a very solid business, and actually you don't need to be on the front foot trying to sell all the time because too many people are going out the back door. So let's have a look at what we could do in those three areas just before we dive into them individually. So in terms of driving revenue, selling the same amount but increase the price. Well, one of the things we're going to do here is we're going to look at how you can productize and package experiences. Because selling services is not easy. Selling products feels more tangible, and we need to find ways of turning services into products that people feel like they've actually gone away and purchased something they can feel, even if it isn't real. The second one was sell more to the same people. That's keep them longer. Keep them for 4 months. Selling more in our case is months and months and months of membership. And the third one, sell more to different people, is really understanding why people buy things and when they buy things. Because you could have members in your business at the moment who are ticking along quite nicely, they're paying month after month after month, but their actual secondary spend, their additional revenue may not be very high. And there are certain things you can do to drive that will actually help your retention within your business. So let's crack on with that. Now, I would say that this represents most businesses in terms of how they're structured. We've become very good at acquiring customers, acquiring members. The industry as a whole is actually really, really good at it. We're really good at getting people to walk through the door and sign up. We've had millions of them do it. What we've not been so good at is holding on to them for long periods of time. Now, there are proportions of people that we hold on to, but the vast majority we just don't hold on to for very long. Now, I run various workshops for operators, and one of the activities we do, one of the tasks we do, is what we call the 0-0 workshop. Now, the 0-0 workshop is this. First of all, you have to estimate the total capacity of your business. So let's say, just for example, that your business is capable of holding 1,000 people. You can cope with 1,000 customers. I don't mean all at one time, but 1,000 spread across the day, spread across the week, visiting frequently would actually make you at capacity. And you'd have to close your doors and say, that's it, there's a waiting list. Okay, so that's the parameter. At your current rate of membership, however many members you got, how long at your current sales rate before you hit that capacity? So if no one left, if everyone just stayed, they joined and just stayed, and they visited, how long before you hit capacity? Now, the other zero is same scenario or similar scenario, 1,000 members. If you were at capacity and no one ever walked in again, so no new people joined, how long, if you lose people at the same rate as you do at the moment, how long before you go out of business? How long before you have to start removing services, letting staff go? What you'll find is actually if you do that process, and we do that in a fairly sophisticated way, but if you do that process on a napkin, you're somewhere between 3 and 7 months from capacity, and usually somewhere between 5 and 7 months between going out of business. There's a very small window. Yet we seem to work harder and harder and harder about driving people in. But actually, you could be at capacity. You could be at the point where you say, actually, we're not accepting new members at the moment. We're not accepting new clients or people into our classes because we are at capacity, and our focus is going to be on the people we're already looking after. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So we could do this throughout the business. So what I've illustrated here is what I call a member journey. And it's one of 3 elements we tend to focus on. We focus on traditional customer service or member services, which is the actual behaviours of the staff. We look at designing the member journey, the process the member will go through as and when they use the club, the facility, the studio, etc. And then the member experience, which is the emotional nudges and prompts that we use to get them to have memorable experiences within the clubs. And what you see here is obviously you've got the pre-joining phase, month 1, month 2 to 6, 6 to 12 and so on. And really what I'm going to focus on here is this 2 to 6 and 6 to 12. Now if you followed my work before, you will have seen this diagram, because one of the things we've identified in our research is that visits drive everything. People will pay and not visit, but actually they don't pay as long, as frequently, as people who even visit irregularly. So as long as you can get people coming in, they keep paying. So what you're looking at here is a sample we took from a club of 1,000 members, and we just looked at their behaviour pattern over a week. And what we saw was that there were just 5% of members were visiting 3 times a week, more than 3 times a week. There was 5% that were doing 3 times. Regulars were coming about twice a week. What we refer to as triers were coming once a week. Occasionals were coming, but they were coming less than once per week. And if you're trying to think, how do you come less than once per week? You come 3 times in 4 weeks. That's less than once per week. And then you've got the sleepers, those that didn't come. Now, the customers that are most at risk of quitting, the members that are most at risk of quitting in your business are these people around this red dotted line or this orange dotted line. Now, quite provocatively, I've called those swingers because they tend to move between occasionals and triers. But look at that, look at those numbers. That's 63% of these members have yet to establish exercise as a habit or a routine. And anything below that dotted line, these people are at risk of quitting. So if you map this out in your own business, you could find that up to, in this example, 42% of your members are at risk of quitting month on month on month, and you want to reduce that as much as possible. So I talked about, I've said, sell the same amount but increase the price. Well, the way in which we've helped operators do that in the past is we've looked at taking the services they offer and turning them into products. Now, one of the challenges in the type of industry we're in is that, if I buy a membership, sometimes the only tangible thing I get is a membership card. I get access. I don't get a physical thing. It's not like going into Home Depot and buying something and walking out and I'm carrying it. I've got a physical thing. We're selling services which are less tangible, and so people often question the cost of services because there's nothing they can actually feel. Now, the way in which we deal with that is to think about turning them into a product. And it's about differentiating your business. Now, I've done a lecture on differentiate or die and making sure that you are presenting yourself in a way that's unique compared to the other operators around you or the other operators online. It gives you a unique differentiation, because if you don't, you're the same as everybody else. And if you're the same as everybody else, you'll have to compete on price. Now, if people don't understand the difference between you and someone else, they'll always buy the cheapest. It's the same when you go on Amazon, you look for something like this clicker, it's $9.95, $9.95, $9.95. Then there's one at $7.95. Then there's one at $29.95. You read all the descriptions, they're exactly the same. You can't tell the difference. Which ones you buy? $7.95 because it was the cheapest. So you need to be able to differentiate your business from others. And one of the ways you can do that is to productize. Now, to productize, what you do is you start to create, first of all, you create a name for your product. You know, it's Paul's hit half time, or it's Paul's hit half hour, you know. So it's got a name. Not that I'd ever use that. It's got a name and it's got a structure. This works really well for nutritional services. This works really well for PT packages. It actually works really well for Group X, particularly through an onboarding phase where you're saying to people, here's our let's get started, Ready, Steady, Go program. Let's call it that. Ready, Steady, Go program for those who are new to Group X. It lasts 8 weeks and it teaches you all the fundamental movements that you will need to know to be an accomplished group exercise person. Then you go, so that's what it does. It's a clearly different, it clearly defines what it is. Then you say, in those 12 weeks, what we're going to cover is in weeks 1 and 2, basic movement patterns. In weeks 2 and 3 to 4, we're going to look at combination patterns. In weeks 5 and 6, we're going to add floor movements or floor exercises. So that over the 12 weeks, we build up your repertoire of movements, your confidence and your competence to do those exercises, and your ability to move in a coordinated way to music. Now, that won't be attractive to everybody, but there'll be a group of people going, that's what I need. That's what I need. Now, I do some yoga. It's not attractive if you watch me doing yoga. I don't have that beautiful poise and posture that you see so many yoga teachers having. I do yoga because I spend a lot of time sitting, I used to spend a lot of time flying, and I spend a lot of time riding my mountain bike. And I need to stretch out, I need to lengthen my muscles. Now, when I go online and I watch online yoga classes, and I do occasionally go to yoga studios, what I notice is they teach a pattern. And even when I first started, and even sometimes today, if I go and I'm doing an online yoga class, I can do the poses. I just can't keep up with the transitions. So I have to keep stopping and starting because I can't move easily in and out of a down dog and into a different pose. I need transition time. And so one of the things I suggested to friends of mine who teach yoga, I said, why don't you do yoga for men and just teach the poses? Don't even do the transitions. Go, right, we're going to do warrior pose, we're going to do archer pose, and just teach the poses. Because once people have got the poses, then you can start adding the transitions. But what you're doing here is you're creating a product. You're naming it, you're defining a time range, you're defining the content, and you're giving it a unique name. Now, when you go in front of somebody, you can say, well, we have, a dead dog yoga. That's how my sister describes what I look like when I'm doing yoga. I look like a dead dog rather than down dog, and package it. Dead dog yoga for men. It could be a PT package. It could be a package where you go, we teach you all the functional exercises you need to whatever it is. But you want to package that. You want to put it into a structure that is different from other people's. Now, here's an example of one from Madrid in Spain. These are some guys I haven't collaborated with their business, but I do know them. And it's called Rito 48. Now, Rito 48 is basically a boutique training studio, but they sell packages. And the packages are 48-day packages. And so you are training 6 days a week for 8 weeks, Monday to Saturday. Their package is, if you buy 9 till 10 in the morning, that's when you train 6 days a week for the duration of the program, the 8 weeks. They also, so it's a combination of HIIT training and body weight training in other formats. It also has a nutritional program, and it's done as a group. So it's small group training, same time of day, 6 days a week for 8 weeks. And they kill it. They absolutely kill it. And they have people who are buying their programs, and they now have a variety of programs, but they have people who are buying their programs block after block after block. Now, if you went in as an exercise teacher and you looked at what they're doing, it doesn't look anything different. You know, you might go, actually, I teach those exercises. I have, you know, as most of us do, I could come up with a better program than that. But what they've done is they've packaged it so it feels more tangible for people. And what they're doing is, and the conversations we had were, it's 8 weeks. They're upselling now in week 6 to the next 8-week block. And they have plenty of people that return again and again and again buying these blocks, because they get quite a lot of personal attention. They get different trainers on different days, but they come same time, same day, same time every day, 6 days a week. So that's just a way of differentiating out your business. It's another way of doing that. Now, if you think about it, people like Barry's Bootcamp have done that, Orange Theory have done that, F45 have done that. Many of the boxing programs have done that. They've packaged what they do, and it's a very strong way to drive revenue by selling more to the same people. And in terms of more here, or increasing the price, sorry, because here their package is probably, let's say in Madrid it's sort of 30 to 50 euros a month for membership. This package is, I think it's about 600 to 800 euros for the 6 weeks. But they sell multiple of those packages per hour. So it's not a single hour, it's multiple hours with multiple people. So it's just another way of thinking about differentiating your business, but able to upsell, because you're upselling using it as a product. I've also seen this done really well as weight management programs, where you might have a 3D body scan at the beginning, a 3D body scan in the middle, 3D body scan at the end, and you go through exercises, and it's a package, like a weight loss package. Those work really, really well. They also help people feel like they're making progress. Now, when I think about how you can sell more to the same people, obviously, as someone who focuses on retention all the time, I'm thinking about, how do you keep them longer? How do you keep people longer in your business? And so what we're going to look here is, we're going to look at 2 things. We're going to look at exercise adherence. We're also going to look at rewards and loyalty, because I think those 2 things can have a really big impact. Now, exercise adherence can be quite a broad topic. You may see back there's a number of books on exercise adherence. They're the academic reference type books. And what you have to do, if you read those, you have to read them and think, how does that translate into what I do? But exercise adherence, improving that and improving rewards or using rewards and loyalty, can really have a big impact on the number of months people stay within your business. Now, let's have a look at exercise adherence, because we need to be clear about what exercise adherence is. Exercise adherence is the extent to which a customer acts in accordance with the advised interval exercise dosing regime. Basically is, do they stick to the exercise program you've given them? Now, if you're a personal trainer or a fitness instructor, maybe even a physical therapist, you write exercise prescriptions, you give people programs to follow. One of the challenges is people don't follow those programs. They don't adhere to those programs. So the way in which exercise adherence is traditionally measured is, if I prescribe to you, you must come 3 times a week and do 60 minutes. If you come 3 times a week and do 60 minutes, let's say for 12 weeks, then I can say you adhered to the program. The challenge for me is this: if you came twice a week and did 60 minutes, technically, in an academic environment, you did not adhere to the program, even though you did 2/3 of it. So we have to be mindful that a lot of academic research does set these parameters that is an absolute. You either did it or you didn't do it. And there's some really good studies showing people who increased physical activity, they were doing 80% more activity than they were doing at the beginning of the study, but they were still considered non-adherers because they didn't actually achieve the parameters or the set guidelines. So what we can do is we want to think about, okay, if we want people to be successful, if we want people to stay within our businesses, what can we do? What are the characteristics that we need to manage and manipulate, and I mean manipulate in a positive way, to keep them on the right track? Because for a lot of people, they have yet to adopt exercise as a behaviour that is part of their lifestyle. If you're watching this, exercise is part of your lifestyle. Not only is it part of your lifestyle, it's part of your identity. You identify as an exerciser. You probably have more exercise clothes than you have normal clothes. You may not even have a regular pair of shoes, which is quite common with a lot of fitness people that I meet. You know, I've just got what we call them trainers, but sneakers. You know, the new to exercise and those people who've yet to establish that, we need to build that identity in them. We build that identity with frequency of use, which is visit frequency, and then we build it also with competence and competence. So let's have a look at the different elements that make up exercise adherence and start to think about what we can do to keep people exercising on a regular basis. Well, right at the beginning, we need to manage expectations. They need to understand timelines, time frames. You know, we see lots of marketing that says, you know, on TV ads and infomercials, you know, use this device and, you know, you're going to have a 6-pack in 6 weeks. And yet many of us know that we've been training for years, decades sometimes, and we've never got to the 6-pack thing. So people have this misconception that this might be easy. And while I don't want them to think it's going to be hard, I don't want them to think it's almost, you know, click my fingers and I've got it. So we have to manage their expectations. We have to say to them, the majority of our members take this long to achieve this amount. So if someone came in and said, I wanted to drop 20 pounds, you say, okay, those customers or those members we work with who wanted to drop 20 pounds, it usually takes them about 10 weeks to drop 20 pounds. Usually we give that about 12 weeks because there's often some plateauing. But these are the things that need to happen for that to happen to you. So manage their expectations. Your body is I describe it sometimes as akin to farming. There are things you can improve, but you can't rush nature. The amount of muscle mass you can gain naturally is only a certain amount at a certain time because the body has to go through processes to do that. You can't grow crops in a day because that's not how nature works, and we have to be aware of that relative to our bodies. The next thing I'd focus on is getting them to build a routine. Get them thinking about routine exercise. Now, traditionally, we've said to people, how many days a week are you going to train and for how long? I would reframe those questions. I would start with, which days of the week are you going to train and at what time? They will come up with, I've got this amount of time to... But if you say how many days of the week and at what time, what we tend to do is go through a quiz type scenario. They go, 3 times a week because they think that's the right answer. And you go, and how long? And they go, 60 minutes, because somewhere they've heard that you need to exercise for 3 times a week for 60 minutes. What we want is a routine. We want them coming in same day, same time every week, week after week after week. Because once you've got those dates and times embedded in someone's schedule, their diary, their calendar, they become protected, and people then miss them less. They don't substitute other things in or out. Apart from vacations, maybe they have to travel with work, whatever. But same day, same time. Build that routine. Now, once we've set about building a routine, we might encourage them to say, one of the things you might want to do is work out with somebody. Work out with somebody, a friend who, or colleague or a member of your family who can train at the same day and time. Just adding that extra person really does increase the likelihood of someone turning up, or meet someone at the gym and train with them. Now, I am not a fan of introducing 2 people who don't know each other and saying, oh, you both train at the same time, why don't you become friends? That might work, but it could also be a disaster. Let friendships occur naturally within the business. Don't force people together. But encourage your members to see if they can find someone else to work out with. That might also give you another member without you having to go through a massive sales process. Then, and this will be challenging for some of you, stick with what you like. Tell them to stick with what they like. Now, I used to train people to be personal trainers. I can teach Group X. I've said this before, it's not pretty. But I've been in the exercise industry for 30 years. If you want to establish a routine, if you want people to turn up, get them to do things they enjoy doing. That's not the same as fun. I enjoy riding my mountain bike up really steep hills. I've got to tell you, when I'm riding up those really steep hills, it's not fun, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy that discomfort, and we need to be wary that as exercisers, particularly if you're into things like high intensity interval training, we like the discomfort of exercise. Now, for new exercisers and people who've yet to establish this as a behaviour, they're just going to see that as pain. So give them exercises they like doing. Don't force them into things they don't. You know, it might be good for them to do more stretching, but let's keep them as exercisers for a while and introduce stretching over a period of time. They may benefit from doing more core exercises, but at this stage, get them exercising. So keep it simple, keep it basic, and keep it routine with the things that they can do. Then you want to build confidence and competence. You do that through letting them practice the same things again and again and again and again. You know, your confidence comes from repetition. Your competence comes from repetition. Doing similar workouts, similar routines on a regular basis is a great way to build confidence and competence. You know, one of the good things that I really enjoyed about Les Mills when they first brought out Body Pump was it's the same routine for 3 months. Okay, the first couple of weeks you might struggle with getting the routine, but actually once you've got the routine, you can put more effort into it because you know the exercises, you can manage your expectation, you can manage your energy levels because you go, well, I know this is an arms track, then we're going to a legs track. Those types of things work really, really well when we give people lots of repetition. As people progress, they'll want more variety. At the beginning, they need pretty much the same things to build their confidence and their competence. So you're going to build variety in over time. Then you're going to also do your goal setting. Now, we focus on goal setting usually when we're working with our operators and their clients a little bit later in the process. We get what I call a generalized aim. What do you want to do? I'd like to lose 20 pounds. Great. Now, often then, a lot of the fitness staff that we work with want to dive into the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic time frame goals. We don't dive into them there. We go, okay, I can come up with a program for you. I can make exercise recommendations based on the amount of weight you want to lose, the amount of muscle you want to gain, the area of your body you want to improve. What I would do is I would then go, based on the fact you've said you can come on this day and at this time for this long, this is the type of program you can do. I'll get into deeper goal setting later on, because what I've found is when I was doing a lot of personal consultations myself is people just make things up for you. You know, you say, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. Oh, by how long? 3 weeks. They don't know. And it goes back to managing those expectations. So the SOG, the superordinate goal, is the drivers of the motivation. Superordinate goals are the reason someone wants to lose weight. Why do you want to lose? You know, you want to lose 20 pounds. What will that do for you? I'll feel more confident. That's a motivator of behaviour. 20 pounds doesn't motivate. I will feel more confident if I'm 20 pounds less. So think about setting up the goals. Then over time, you want to increase behaviours in this sequence. Increase frequency. So get them to do the same thing but more frequently. Then increase the amount of time that they're doing it for. So extend the periods in minutes, possibly hours, but mainly minutes. Then increase complexity. And then finally increase intensity. Once they've got used to becoming on a regular basis. So one of the terms that I use is this hump of discomfort. As exercisers, we like to be uncomfortable. We like that challenge on our body. But actually, for new people or people who have not adopted this behaviour yet, that actually feels like pain. and they can't distinguish discomfort from exercise from discomfort that's pain. So over time, we increase intensity. I know HIIT training is very, very popular at the moment, but it's mainly popular with people who like discomfort. It's not the thing that new exercisers are coming and go, I've got to do this HIIT because I'm just looking forward to being excruciating pain. So build up your exercise routines, your exercise behaviours with your customers, with your members, with your clients using that format. Now we're going to have a look at rewards and loyalty programs. Now there is a difference. Now a rewards program is based on what's called an algorithmic tasks. Algorithmic tasks are, if you come 10 times, I will give you a water bottle. If you come 20 times, I will give you a sweat towel. If you come 100 times, I will give you a t-shirt. Algorithmic. You do this, we give you this back. They are extrinsic motivators. So they're task-based activities. So a rewards program is the sort of thing you go into a coffee shop and they stamp a card. It's got 12 stamps, they stamp 12. If you eat 12 coffees here, stamp each card, we'll give you another coffee for free. Then loyalty programs are based on what's called heuristic tasks. It means something to me more than just the task itself. Now, a nice example of this are charity runs. Doing a 5K run is a challenge for some people. It's something they want to do. But doing it for a cause is actually a heuristic task. It means more to me than the activity itself. I'm raising money for something I care about, a cause I care about. Now, loyalty is built around these, almost around emotions, and they're very intangible. Now I'll give you an example. I have loyalty for some reason to Apple. I can tell you why I'm loyal to Apple. I think they make me as a 57-year-old man look cool. I've got an Apple. I've got an Apple phone. I've got an iPhone. I've got a MacBook. All the kids have got that. If I've got that, it makes me cool. Yeah, I'm different from other people. I have loyalty to Apple and their products. Now, some of that loyalty is based around the way in which they design their products, so that I actually now find Android and Microsoft products more difficult to navigate. And so I go, they're rubbish. And it's nothing to do with rubbish, it's just I've spent 10 years learning Mac. But Apple have never given me any discounts. They've never done anything for me apart from sell me a product. So they create a loyalty. Your sports teams, if you follow sports teams, often the highs and lows of following a sports team are incredible, but you carry on supporting, you carry on following teams for years and years and years. Think about all those people that were Cleveland Browns fans that for years were following the Cleveland Browns and they weren't having winning seasons, but they stuck by them. It didn't matter. They weren't glory hunters. They weren't going, oh, Cleveland Browns aren't doing well, I think I'll follow the Patriots because at least we'll win something. They went, no, I'm a Browns fan. So loyalty is based on giving people activities beyond themselves. When you treat them like they are special, you don't have to give them things, but you do have to recognise their behaviours. You do have to recognise they visited today. You do have to recognise their continued visits within your business. You have to recognise their contributions that they make on social media. That builds loyalty. Rewards, I want something from you. You do something for me, I'll do something for you. Loyalty, intangible, but based around something bigger than me. It means more to me than just the process itself. So a simple example of a rewards program: exchange goods and service for behaviours. Refer 5 friends, I'll give you a month free. Visit 12 times in your first month and get your joining feedback. They work really well. They do actually work in terms of people wanting to achieve these tasks. What they don't do, though, is build loyalty. Now, if an example here is Peloton. This is the Century t-shirt. So even big companies like Peloton recognise this is worth doing. You do 100 rides, you can purchase a Century t-shirt. And what do people do? I've done 100 rides. They start posting on their social media. They buy into it. You can do the same as this. Peloton have done a great job in terms of creating an online community when a community doesn't exist. This is Jeff and Terry Bissonette. I've used this a number of times in presentations. This is what they call their 144 club, and it focuses a little bit on exercise adherence and a little bit on a rewards stroke loyalty program. They have huge loyalty generated out of other behaviours. But how does this work? If you come 12 times per month, you get your name on one of those lists. If you do that 12 months in a row, you can join the 144 club. 12 visits per month for 12 months, 144. If you're a part of the 144 club, you can get a t-shirt that says earned not given. Now, they have a club of just under 1,000 members, and close to 300 of their members are getting these t-shirts every year. And there must be a few that are really close to that as well. They sort of made the 146 club, or sorry, the 141 club. But that's huge. And they have an average length of stay of about 5 years. So they're a single site operator, and they work really hard to both build rewards and loyalty into their business. Now, the loyalty is an emotional connection with the business that is not linked financially. Now, you can think about it, and I've already described it, as emotional loyalty is having friends, colleagues, sports teams and brands. We can be loyal to things that give us nothing back, but we like to associate with them. Apple Watch, intrinsic motivation. Look at all those rings. That motivates us. We want the badges. The badges are creating a reward system, but beyond that, Apple creates loyalty through its design, through its coolness, through the way it portrays itself, and how that rubs off on us, thinking, actually, if they're cool, if we've got their products, we must be cool. Now, the third thing I want to look at is about how you sell more to different people. So if you're going to sell more to different people, you need to understand their behaviours. So there was an operator that we were fortunate to work with where we got a data set of 800,000 customers. And within that, we were able to identify who bought personal training. Now, not all 800,000 bought them, but there was a proportion that bought personal training. Now, what we then set out to do is look at, compared to when they joined the club, when did they actually buy personal training? And what we saw was this. About 10% of customers actually bought it in the first month. And technically, they pretty much bought it at point of sale. They came in the door, they walked in, they sat down with a salesperson, they took out membership, and either said they wanted personal training, or when personal training was offered to them, said yes, they wanted it. But they pretty much came in with that in mind. We then tracked the data and we looked at the next group. The next group bought personal training in months 2 to 5, and about 30% of people bought it here. Now, why did they wait for 2 to 5 months to buy it? Well, in a lot of cases, they wanted to see the trainers at work. They wanted to be working out themselves and watching the trainers. They wanted to see who they liked the look of, who looked like they were professional. They wanted to go through all of those types of processes. So it was like, I want to I want to see how good the trainers here are before I commit to that. So about 30%. What was really interesting was 60% of people that we spoke to bought personal training after the first 6 months. Now, why was that? Well, in a lot of cases, when we interviewed them, what we found out was they described it as last roll of the dice. I've been coming for 6 months. I thought I could do this on my own. I thought I was going to be successful. I thought the weight would fall off. I thought the muscles would grow. I thought my flexibility would improve. Whatever their motivator was, it didn't happen at the speed that they thought it would happen. So then they were looking to get personal training to help them through the process. Now, I would say that the vast majority of trainers that I come across within businesses focus solely on new customers. They focus on the new members signing up, that point of sale. And if someone asks you, do you want to buy personal training at point of sale? They often, it's either yes or no. And in fact, in our example, it was 10% said yes. But I would never, I've studied behavioural psychology and I've done a lot of work in coaching. I would never ask the question, would you like to buy personal training? because it leads to a yes or no answer that might close off the opportunity to sell that person personal training at a later date, because we like to follow our behaviours. If I say I'm not the type of person that, we find it really difficult to then change our behaviour to be the type of person that we said we weren't before. So the question I would ask is, would you be interested in accelerating your results? Now, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't be interested in accelerating their results? So I'd be asking this question, but I'd be looking into the data set. I'd be asking, if I was a trainer, I'd be saying to the manager or the owner, can you give me a list of people who've been members 6 months who are still using the club? Because I want to tap into that group, because they've already been using the club. They may have had an opportunity to see me train clients, and now I want to reach out to them. Now, if we combine the exercise continuum with what I call the exercise adherence continuum, with what we know about rewards and loyalty, what we know about exercise adherence, at one end of this continuum, you have the perfect exercise program, the one for physiological change. Now, I've got to say, when I was a trainer and when I was teaching classes, it was like I would give people exercise prescriptions that I thought were perfect. It had heart rate percentages, it had percentages of repetition maximum, it had the order of the exercises that were most physiologically correct. They were great programs, but people didn't stick to them. At the other end of the continuum, you've got the perfect program based on exercise psychology, increasing exercise adherence. People doing things they like, doing it at the intensity they like, doing it for how long they like, and doing a complexity level that they can complete. Now, it's a continuum. So what we want to be doing is we want to be finding some middle ground, somewhere, underneath that word on this diagram, underneath adherence, that people can fluctuate between. Yes, it's got to have physiological results, but it can't be so perfect that someone won't stick to it. And if you've ever had to write exercise programs, or you've come up with routines for your group exercise classes and you thought they were great, you thought they were balanced, but actually people either didn't get it or didn't put the effort in or didn't even bother doing the exercises, that won't keep them exercising. So we have to strike that balance between perfect physiology and perfect psychology, and there is a place in the middle where they meet, and that will help us keep customers and members in our businesses for longer. So consider this: participants who perceive a degree of choice and control over their own programs exercise twice as frequently as those that don't. So when you're initially talking to people, you want to think about giving them some level of choice. This is where I've focused already on saying, which days are you coming in? What times are you coming in? That's their choice. Rather than us saying, well, you probably want to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They might not be able to do it. Yeah. So give them some choice. Would you like something that starts off basic and gets more complex over time? Would you like something that starts off as having moderate intensity that builds up over time? Or do you want to start with something really super tough right away? So you're giving them choice over things. Is there any exercises you'd like to include within this, if it's a PT or gym workout, within this program? Or would you prefer me to come up with all the exercises? If it's in a group exercise environment, and you're building up choreography, you could say, okay, today, show of hands, what are we going to do? Are we going to do old school and we're going to do Britney Spears? Or are we going to go current and we're going to do a Beyonce routine? Give them some sense of choice and say to them, if we do Beyonce today, we'll do Britney next week. Or next week it'll be Britney versus Rihanna or whatever. Give them some sense of choice. Do you want to include a relaxation session at the end, or are we going to just go straight through, finish with some stretches, but then you're out of here? Giving people this perception of choice is really powerful in keeping them involved in the program. Don't give them too many choices though, because then you get choice paralysis. So 2 or 3 choices, not 10, 11, 12, or don't open it up completely because they won't know what to choose. Couple of final thoughts. Choice and control over the program should be emphasized. Avoid the idea of the best program. Focus on flexibility. I wince when people go, what's the best exercises for your abs? Because I know this is going to happen. If I say to them, do this exercise, and that doesn't work for them, they don't come back and say to me, what's your second best exercise? They go and find another trainer. So if someone says something like that, you want to be going, okay, here's a place I think you should start and try these exercises, but there are other things you could try if that's not as successful as you would like. Other things to consider: reinforce and praise immediately they experience exercise success. So give them feedback. These are all things that are going to drive adherence as well. Convey optimism and a willingness to re-examine a program in the near future, particularly for a PT, personal trainer, and reinforce progress with references to initial goals. So talk about how far they've come. Sometimes that's more important than talk about how far they've got to go. So show them the difference between where they were and where they are now. This can be very difficult sometimes. I used to make my clients redo their very first day workout 10 weeks into the program, so they could feel, and they go, what's this? And I go, this is where you were at week one. Week one, day one, this is the program you did. By the time it's week 10, workout 30, they've progressed, but they can physically feel the difference. So I'd make them do their week one workout just so that they got that sense of, I've made progression. Other things you can do to increase exercise adherence: set realistic and achievable goals, make it personal and relevant, and even add a contract. Even if it's a shaking of hands, I'm going to work towards this. Shaking of hands probably won't work at the moment for COVID reasons, but shaking of hands, it's not a legal contract. It's an agreement between you and them to work towards something. You need to work towards reducing barriers and help them identify the types of things that are going to get in the way of them exercising. Start easy, but also make it enjoyable. You want to praise people as soon as they've been successful. Praise them on their competence and their skill acquisition. Praise them on the effort they've put in, so sometimes around the intensity. Praise them on their technique, how their technique's improving, where their movement control is improving. Those things have a massive reward. If you then link the comment to the outcome that they said is their goal, that drives it in even stronger. Saying wow, great job, high five, they're all like confetti. They're very pretty but don't do anything. Talk to them, reinforce them, praise them, catch them doing things right. That's it for this session. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found that there's some activities or content there that you can take, adapt and use within your business. Now, there is a third and final session where I am going to talk about how to re-engage and recover members and customers that are either about to leave or have left, and what you can do to get them back into your business.